Hello there, and welcome to what could be your reading. We are doing a yes or no and why reading. So please know though, the cards that I'm using, we're going to potentially get some maybes, some indefinites. I will be doing some tarot once we reveal your answer to understand a little bit about why and kind of understand that. You can choose as many as you want, but please know, it's really meant for one per the same question. Additionally, before we get into stuff, I do want to give you a little bit of guidance on the best way to phrase your question, because that is going to be really important. This does need to be a question that can be answered by yes or no, understanding that you may get essentially a maybe. The more complicated, if you're is this going to happen if this, and this happened? The more you stack onto your question, the more this is going to be very likely less useful for you. Obviously do whatever you want, take whatever makes sense to you, the whole, take what resonates thing. But that would be my advice. Try and choose the most simplistic way to ask your question. We've got 12 different piles here. I have little charms for each. They in no way relate to the actual answer, so just know that. These are just meant as placeholders to help you choose. So pick whatever you like. We have a bicycle charm, an eye, a mermaid, a little bow, a whale, a unicorn, a key with a little heart on top, a starfish, a little charm that says tarot, an elephant, a black cat, and a red butterfly. So I will, we'll get into this here in a second, but go ahead and pause if you need to pause. Look at all the charms, and I will see you in your pile. Hello, pile 1. If you chose the bicycle charm, this is your answer. So again, if you didn't watch the very, very beginning, I recommend that. I'll give you some guidance on how best to phrase your yes or no question, but we'll get into the reveal. It's going to be pretty quick. The answer is no. Now we're going to read some tarot to try and get some general understanding as to why. Because this is such a general reading, this is not going to be, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get super specific. If it's a topic that I've already done a video on my channel about, perhaps you can get some more insight there. That would be my recommendation if you're looking for some additional insight, but we'll try and get what we can. I'm using the After Tarot. All right, and why is the answer no? So whatever you're asking about, it seems like it's in general pretty ill-advised anyway. This seems like it not happening is your best possible outcome. I'm seeing that there's a lot of instability in whatever it is that you're asking for. For those of you who are asking a question about love, if the answer were to be yes, this would bring you so far back in your emotional healing and progress. But in general, the reason why the answer is no is that it seems that it would be very ill-advised for whatever you're asking about. It is ill-advised for the answer to be yes. So that is all we've got here. These are super quick and easy. If you ever want to come back to the video for other questions, feel free. But yeah, that was your reading. I hope that was helpful. I'd love to hear from you in the comments if it was. And if you did choose number 1, give me a little bike emoji. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Alrighty. Hello there. If you chose pile number 2 with this little eye charm, this is your reading. Before we get to the reveal, if you did not watch the intro, it's very short. Go watch that. It'll give you some insight on how to best phrase in your yes or no question so that you get the most out of this reading. This is really meant to be whatever your question is, however you phrase it, you're not meant to keep picking piles. whatever your question is, this is the pile that you chose. This is going to be your answer for that. You can always, however, come back. Like any like different variations of your original question are fine. And then if you just have other questions that you want to come back to this reading for, you're more than welcome to do that. That's kind of what it's designed to do. So let's get into the answer of your question. You shall not. So this makes me think that your question was definitely dependent on something that like maybe you specifically were wanting to do. The answer is no, but let's figure out, get some insight into why that is. All right. Oh my goodness. Pile 1. You're kidding me. That is absolutely insane. If you like did not take my advice and like just chose another pile, this is your 100% confirmation. The answer is no, besties. Stop. It's time to stop. Both of these cards, and I've shuffled this on and off camera. Both of these cards came up in the first reading. Slightly different orientations here. The general summary for you is that the reason the answer is no is because it is very ill-advised for the answer to be yes. It would be to your detriment for the answer to be yes. This is a very like unstable situation, and it does seem like you're actually probably going to be better off pursuing some other different kinds of avenue. Like there's something that you maybe if there's multiple options that you're kind of considering here. I think there's an option that you've like kind of denied or like overlooked, being like, okay, not that one, let me move on. That was like actually a lot more fleshed out and probably better. I can't say for sure because obviously this is general. It's meant for, you know, any type of situation. If you are looking for some more clarity and you know, if your topic relates to something that I've already posted about on my channel, I highly recommend that you go and check there potentially for some guidance. If you chose this pile, I would love to know if this was helpful. Comment below with an eyeball emoji to let me know that you chose number 2. And yeah, thank you so much for showing up. I hope that this was useful to you. Right, so if you chose pile 3 with the mermaid charm, this is your reading. I highly recommend if you just like skip the intro, please go back. It has some really good guidance on how to phrase your question so you get the most out of this. This reading is not intended for you to keep asking the same question and choosing different piles, or asking essentially the same question and choosing different piles. So please do keep that in mind. However, this is super general. You are meant to, you know, potentially bookmark this. Come back when you have more yes or no questions that you feel like this reading may be able to help you with. But let's go ahead and reveal your answer. The answer is yes. So let's get a little bit into why the answer is yes, or maybe some guidance for you with whatever will be happening with your question. So let's see here. Oh, this one really wanted to come out. All right. So what I see here is that this, whatever you're asking about, we're like at the end of a pretty tumultuous cycle for you. This may even have to do with money and like loss and just like trying to recoup and recover from something. I hope that your yes, like the way that your question was phrased, that the yes is a good outcome for you, because it does seem like this may be related to kind of like an uncomfortable situation. But the reason the answer is yes, frankly, just it's time for things to kind of like change and move forward. It's time to, you know, kind of like finally disembark from something. I don't know if you are actually traveling. For some of you that may be the case, but it's like you're moving to your like final destination in a sense, and this is part of that. So like whatever your question's about, this is like sort of the final iteration of that process. So it's like basically the answer is yes because it's time for the answer to be yes. It's supposed to kind of unfold and unfurl this way. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. If you got some benefit from this, I would love to hear in the comments below. Comment a little fish emoji. I don't know if there's a mermaid emoji. If there is, use that instead to let me know that you chose this pile. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next reading that I do. Hello there! If you chose the little teeny tiny bow charm, this is your reading. If you just skipped the intro and came straight here, I do recommend just go back and watch that. It has some good guidance on how to phrase your question so that you get the most out of this reading. You don't have to, but I do recommend it, especially since this is all very, very short. But let's go ahead and flip over your answer, and then we'll draw some tarot to understand why that is the case. Wait, let me think. Okay, so if you're still watching, this makes me think you may not have watched potentially the intro, or the way that you asked your question was not in a way that was very conducive. It may have been a more complicated yes or no. That's going to require some more time, I think, for there to be a definitive answer. Additionally, this also is very likely something that is still very up in the air. If it especially if it's requiring multiple people or organizations or something as part of deciding the outcome of whatever you're asking about, it's still in process. But let's draw some more cards. Well, not more cards. Let's draw some cards. And see if we can get some more insight on this. All right. Wow. I swear to God, I keep shuffling this deck, and the past readings have also gotten this card. That's absolutely freaking insane. Wow. Okay. So with that in mind, the reason that there is not an answer for you right now is because this is a very, like we just mentioned, it's an unstable situation. The outcome is not decided yet. I mean, honestly, this just seems like an affirmation of what, I just said, confirmation of that. I would say additionally, not only is it an unstable decision, this is still being decided, I would also say that you are not actually in a good place for whatever you're asking about. And I don't mean oh, something bad's going to happen to you. I just mean you're not currently in a situation or in the right headspace, I think, potentially to be asking this question, or you're just physically not in a place where whatever you're asking about is going to even really make sense. This could be too far in the future. But yeah, in general, unstable situation, outcome is not decided yet, and you're not ready. You are not ready for the answer, for your question. I do hope that this was helpful for you. If it was, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Give me a little bow emoji. I think there's bow emojis. If there's not, I don't know, just give me a heart or something. I'd love to hear from you there. Feel free to come back if you want clarification, further clarification on what your answer means. If I've done a pick a card about the topic that you're asking about on a different video, I would recommend checking there just to see if you can get some more insight onto what's going on. But with that, thank you so much, and this was your reading. Hello there! If you chose the little well charm, this is your reading. If you skip the intro, please go watch it. It's going to have really good guidance on how to formulate your question so that you get the most out of this. Additionally, this is really only meant to be one question. So if you don't get the answer that you want, don't just pick another pile. You can come back though, if you have other questions about other things, or if it's a different question related to the same topic you're asking about today, you can still come back and pick one, but please don't just keep picking them until you find the answer that you think that you want or are looking for. That's not how this is meant to be used. But let's go ahead and get the answer to your question. Depends on the day. Okay, interesting answer. So this tells me that this is a situation that is still in flux. It also tells me that, whatever you're asking about, it really is going to change every day. I don't know why I'm thinking of just a menu at a restaurant that I don't even know why. That doesn't even make sense. Like, restaurants change their menus. Don't change their menus necessarily all of the time. But I'm just getting like this sense of like what's being served is different every day. But let's get some more insight as to why the answer to your question is going to depend on when you're asking. Interesting. Okay. All right. So I have the feeling that this situation involves you really feeling like you have to protect yourself from like an external circumstance that you've actually already like triumphed over in the past. Like, this seems like, whether this is you or someone else involved in this, like, there are a lot of like emotional turbulence involved as well. This is just a very interesting energy that I'm picking up here. It's very hard to say because this is supposed to be so general, but the general vibe that I'm getting as to why the answer to your question depends on the day that you're asking is because whoever is involved, whether that's you or some other person or party, is very mercurial about this situation. I think it's one of those things too that like either you've already gotten and like made some really good progress here, or you're afraid you're going to lose that progress, and that's why you're asking. So just know that timing is really important with whatever it is that you're asking about. If I did a reading about the topic that you're asking about on a different video, I would recommend checking there to potentially get some more insight. But for now, that was your reading. I really do hope that that was helpful. I'm sorry it wasn't more definitive, but it is what it is. If you did enjoy this reading, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Give me a little whale emoji, and I will see you hopefully in the next reading. Hi there! So if you chose the unicorn charm, this is your reading. If you skipped ahead and just went straight here, please do go back and watch the intro of this video. It has some really good guidance on how to formulate your questions so that you get the most out of this reading. Please do not choose multiple piles for the exact same question. This is not what this reading is designed to be about. You could ask, questions that relate to the same topic, but like maybe in a different way with this reading. That's totally fine. But if it's essentially the same question, even if you like slightly rephrase it, don't do that. That is not what this is here for and what it's meant to be. But let's go ahead and get the answer to your question. Try again. That does not mean pick another pile, by the way. This is telling me that this is mostly a no. That's the vibe that I'm getting. But it also seems like this is a situation that you will have multiple opportunities on or different chances with. So that's why the answer isn't like a definitive no. This is definitely something that like you may end up... I may end up being a no right now, and something that if you continue pursuing or being persistent with, perhaps that answer will change. That might not be the case for all of you, but let's go ahead and get some cards here. Okay. So what I'm seeing here right off the bat with the try again, this is something that you have definitely gotten essentially a no for in the past. And I don't know even necessarily if the answer is going to change, but there is something that you're supposed to gain and learn from trying again. What's really interesting is another pile also got this card. I've been getting that a lot with these different readings. There's like shared cards between you guys, which is fascinating. But ultimately, I think that you need to move forward understanding that this situation may honestly be hopeless, but that there is something that you're supposed to gain in terms of like your mental state. There's some kind of enlightenment, I would say, potentially to be gained here with trying again. I would not get discouraged, but I cannot promise you that you are going to ultimately get what you seek by trying again. Alternatively, for some of you, if you're hearing that and you have been told to give up by a whole bunch of people, it is possible that you need to try like one more time and then give up. You know what I mean? Like after, you know, whatever it is that you're asking about here. I do hope that this was helpful. I'm sorry that this was not more, I'm sorry this wasn't more definitive for your question, but I do still hope I gave you some insight. I would love to hear from you in the comments if this was helpful. Comment a little unicorn emoji to let me know that you picked this pile. If there is a reading that I have done on my channel related to the topic that you're asking about, I would recommend checking there for some potential insight as to why you got the answer that you got. And with that, thank you so much. I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Hello there. If you chose the little heart key, this is your reading. Real quick before we do the big reveal, if you got straight here and you didn't watch the intro, please do. It's really short. It's going to give you a little bit of guidance on how to phrase your question so you get the most out of this reading. Please do not keep choosing different piles until you get the answer that you want. That's not what this is meant for. And then I would also just kind of say here, you can come back and like ask questions about the same situation, maybe from a different perspective or about like a different element. That's totally fine. Or you can just like come back and just like ask a completely different question. That's also fine too. But please do avoid asking the exact same question over and over again, because you're just not going to get what you want from that. All right, so the answer to your question is affirmative. You got a yes. Let's get some guidance as to why that is the case, what you may need to know about the yes that you received. All right. Again, every single pile, I keep saying this over and over again, every single pile is getting repeating cards from different other, like, it's bizarre. I don't understand why that is happening. But it's fascinating all the same. Okay, so the reason that your answer is yes, and maybe like what you kind of need to know about this affirmative answer, things have not been going well for a while. I think that some of the like joy and sparkle from life in general, or just from this situation, has been gone. This feels like a situation that you have like maybe previously been like, this is hopeless. There's still going to be some elements of that. There's still things for you to potentially have to overcome in this situation. But in general, I am seeing that you are coming out in this like position of power, and what I would call like receptive power or feminine power, or however you want to phrase that. Like, you're coming out in this position of understanding yourself, understanding others, understanding how you plug into everything. Yeah, this is really beautiful. It's a very beautiful message here. I do wish you all of the best. Thank you so much for stopping by and letting me pull your cards. If you did like this reading and you got some benefit from it, I would love to hear in the comments below. Comment with a little key emoji to let me know you picked this pile, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye. Hey there, welcome to your reading. If you chose the starfish, this is your reading. If you did not watch the intro and you just skipped right here, please go watch the intro. It has some really good guidance on how to phrase your question so you get the most out of this. Please do not pick multiple piles for the same question. While you can like rephrase that or ask about the same topic within this reading, it needs to be from a different perspective for that to actually kind of like give you the most benefit when it comes to this reading. But let's go ahead and reveal your answer. Not at all. Okay, so your answer is a no. And let's get some guidance and some information as to why that is the case. Okay. Oh, wow. This is like so many more cards, but it feels relevant, so we'll take them. I've been saying this in every single pile. I swear to God, I am shuffling this deck. There are repeating cards attached to different piles, and I find that very fascinating. It makes me think that some of you are coming back to this reading, like you've bookmarked it and you're asking different questions, which I love. I hope you do. That's what this is intended for. But as for why this is a no, this is something that like is super out of balance It's something that needed to end a long time ago. And it's definitely something that like was not... I really do feel like there's a lot of disappointment here. And I do want to say I am very sorry if that is the case, that I think for some of you, hearing a no here is really disappointing. But ultimately, like, this is something that needed to be like left behind a long time ago. This is something that like you're not in a great like mental headspace for anyway. And the foundations on which it was built are pretty shaky as well. But I do sense a sense of disappointment because it's like, oh, this was supposed to be like this really great thing. I do know that like for a lot of you, like I said, you may be in your feels about this outcome. And I do apologize if I am the bearer of bad news. For those of you that that's not the case, like maybe getting a no was the answer you were looking for. Awesome. I would say that you do understand that this is something that you kind of just want to move past anyway. And I think you're in a good place to do that. But with that is your reading. I would love to know if you found this to be useful. If you did, please comment a little star emoji to let me know you picked this pile. If you're looking for more clarification on the answer that you got, if I've done a reading on my channel, and you can just go ahead and check by going to like my channel page and looking at the video history. If I've done something that like relates to the topic that you're asking about, that might be a really good place for you to get some additional insight from me specifically on your question. But with that, thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you got some benefit, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Hey there, if you chose this little tarot charm, this is your reading. If you came here and just like completely skipped the intro, please go back and watch it. It's going to have some really important guidance on how you can phrase your question to get the most out of this. Please do not pick multiple piles for the same question and just like slightly changing how you're asking it. That's not what this is meant for. This is meant though for you to like come back. Like you can bookmark this and come back, ask different questions. You can absolutely ask more questions about the same situation. Just keep in mind it needs to be from a different perspective. Because if it's essentially the same question, it's just not going to work. But let's go ahead and reveal your answer. So this tells me that you very likely are asking a question that is either super convoluted, complicated, or isn't something that can actually be answered with a yes or no is the thing. So with that said, this is probably one of the very few instances where I would recommend that you rephrase your exact question and then maybe try picking another pile. For some of you though, this is just a question that like cannot be answered the way that you're asking it. It's just not possible. Additionally, whatever it is that you're asking about may just be something... Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, well, we'll take that. We'll take the Two of Cups in reverse. Let me go ahead and draw some more, though, about why this is the case. Yeah, I'm getting the vibe here that this is just not possible in the way that you're currently thinking about it. This is just not going to work. And I swear, it's shocking to me. I'm saying this every single pile. We are getting similar cards. I'm shuffling on and off camera. I don't understand what's happening here. It is leading me to believe at this point that some of you are coming back, bookmarking this and answering again, and, asking different questions, which is great. Like, this is definitely what this is meant for. But in terms of this particular, the reason that you don't have an answer and it's kind of like, what? What you're asking isn't possible right now. What you're asking, oh, interesting. I didn't really intend to get another card, but I would say that for some of you, this is just a nonsensical question, and maybe you're just like here for like the laughs and gaffs of it all, which like salute. I totally understand. For some of you, I think that you're asking about something that you really want to believe is possible is not possible. For some of you, you're at like this crossroads between like what you think that you want and what you think that you, I think in some ways even like deserve, like you, yeah, it's an interesting energy here. And there's so many things that this could be talking about. For some of you, this is definitely about love. And the answer is like, no, honey, this is not possible. Like, what. For some of you about like kind of if you're identifying more with like being at a crossroads with stuff, I think you really need to reframe your perspective on like how you're viewing this entire situation, because that is why I think you're feeling so stuck and why you're even at this reading to begin with, and why you're getting this kind of answer of like, what, like this isn't possible. The way that you're viewing this, viewing whatever you're asking about is just not ultimately very helpful or conducive for you to get an accurate yes or no on this. And with that, that was your reading. If you got benefit from this, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Comment a little, well, there's not a tarot, but maybe a little moon emoji to let me know that this was the pile that you picked. But yeah, I hope to see you in the next reading. I hope this was beneficial, and bye. Hi there. If you picked the elephant charm, this is your reading. And I am giving everyone this disclaimer. If you came here, you didn't watch the intro, please go back and watch it. It has really good insight onto how to phrase your question so that you're getting the most out of your reading. Please do not ask the exact same question or slight variations of the same question and just keep picking keep picking piles until you find the one that you want. That is not what this reading is meant for. Additionally, when it comes to this type of reading, like you can still ask like about the same situation from a different like maybe perspective and pick cards from here. You can also just bookmark it and come back whenever you want and ask different questions. That's kind of what this is like generally intended for. But let's go ahead and get into the answer for your question. Find your own answer. Okay, super interesting here. Whatever you're asking about, I feel like is really dependent on you. And I think that's why you're not getting a yes or no. Like this is something that you have to do. This is work that only you can do. It doesn't rely on anyone else. Like this is something that you're going to really be the driver of the outcome. But let's get some more cards. Some more insight, please. I am saying this every single time, and I'm saying it for you as well. I don't understand why every single pile that we have done so far has had a card that was in a different pile. That is just crazy to me. I'm shuffling on and off camera. I just cannot. This is wild. Anyway, in terms of finding your own answer, yes, like 100%, this is your journey that you are on. Whatever you're asking about, I think you're also like not really ready to let something go. Like there's a sense of sort of like hoarding, but also, or just like holding things really tightly and not wanting to like share them. I think there's also this like feeling of like injustice, or feeling like, I think some of you either feel like this is what I deserve or I don't deserve this at all. Like that's just a very strange energy. What I will say with this is like, this is 100% your journey, your choice. I highly recommend that you really think about whatever it is that you're asking and identify the places that you have control or that you can affect the outcome of whatever it is that you're asking for. Because I think that'll really help illuminate you moving forward on kind of how you want to move, what next moves you want to make. So yeah, if I've done a, different reading on a different, like on a topic, the topic you're asking about on my channel, I definitely recommend going there and checking for some potentially more insight. I do hope this was helpful. If so, I would love for you to comment below a little elephant emoji and just let me know you picked this pile, that it was useful for you. I do hope to see you in the next one. Bye. If you picked this little cat, the little black cat's charm, this is your reading. If you just skip the intro, please go and watch that. It has information on how you can phrase your question to get the most out of this. Additionally, please do not keep picking piles until you get the answer that you think that you want or that you're seeking. It's not what this is for. While you can absolutely ask the same questions, or not the same questions, you can ask about the same topic, but it needs to be from a completely different like perspective, or like with a different, angle, I guess, in mind. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. It's not what this is intended for. What I will also say, this is also just meant for you to like come back, ask more, yes or no questions. So if you did like this, please feel free to bookmark, come back whenever you've got some more yes or no questions that you want some answers and some advice with. But let's go ahead and reveal your answer. In no way. So your answer is no, and it is a very definitive no. It is, all right. Okay. Let's go ahead and get some clarity as to why. I've been saying this every single pile, and I'm going to say it to you again because it keeps happening and we're almost done with this video. Every single pile has had a repeating card. It tells me that you are probably coming back, or you intend to come back and continue asking different questions, which I love. I hope you do that. The reason that the answer is no, and in no way, like, whether this is a person, a situation, whatever, like, they left you out in the cold, bae. Like, they're gone. Like, they do not care. If this is about other people, they don't care, like, in a way that matters, and in a way that's going to, like, demonstrably affect, like, the outcome that you're seeking. Like, you have to, like, move on and move forward, you know, with yourself and, like, with the people that you've, like, kind of, like, met along the way that will help you kind of move forward. But it feels like you're asking about, like, specific people, or, like, something that involves other people. And I hate to say it, but, like, they don't care. Or they don't care in a way that's actually going to benefit you, which is really unfortunate. I'm really sorry to be the bearer of bad news here, or what feels like bad news. I mean, ultimately, if the best answer for you was to get the no, then what I would say is, like, you know all of this, and you can put these people behind you, like, they're gone, if that makes sense. Like, you're not going to have to, you know, deal with them much further and much longer, which is good. I do hope that this was useful for you. If I have done a pick a card on the topic you're asking about, I would recommend checking that next for potentially some more insight. If you got some benefit from this reading, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Give me a little cat emoji in your reply so I know that you picked this one. And I do hope to see you in the next video. Bye, guys. Hello there. If you picked the little red butterfly charm, this is your reading. If you skipped ahead and did not watch the intro, please go watch the intro. It is going to explain how to best phrase your questions so you get the most out of this reading. Additionally, please do not keep picking piles until you find the one that gives you the answer that you want. That's not what this is meant for. You can ask questions about the same topic. It just needs to be from a different perspective. And you can also just, like, keep coming back. Like, if you have more questions in the future, like, bookmark this. And if you like the style of this reading, you know, come back, ask more questions. Love to hear from you. Love to be able to provide that. That is what this reading is intended for. Let's go ahead and reveal your answer. The answer is yes, it is absolutely. Let's go ahead and get some information as to why, or any guidance. And I also know that, like, sometimes the answer being yes is not actually what you're wanting it to be. So if that is the case, I do apologize. Let's get some insight for you. This is too many cards. I will take this one. It feels like there's so much to say, though, with whatever it is that you're asking about. A lot going on. All right. Give me some cards. Wow. Okay. I have said this literally every single pile, but I'm going to say it to you as well. There are repeating cards throughout this entire reading. Every single one of you has gotten a card someone else has already received. And that just tells me that for some of you, you're coming back to ask questions again and again, which is great. That's what I want you to do. So I'm glad that's happening. I was really thinking it was not going to continue to the very end, and lo, it did. That's fascinating to me. I will have to, I'm like, this is interesting. Anyway, for your absolutely. The reason why, it's like, you have fought for this, like, whatever this is, like, you have really, like, put in the time, the effort, the work to, like, make this work. Like, it seems like there was a time when it didn't seem like this was going to work out, like, that you were not going to be able to cross the finish line. It seems like there was initially a lot of resistance if other people were involved, like, to whatever this is, and you were able to sort of, like, get everybody on the same page. Like, I feel like this is a yes because you made it a yes. Like, you put everything in, which is fantastic. Like, hell yeah. Like, I love that for you, pile number 12. Like, that is fantastic. Like, you made this happen through your will, through your abilities, through your strengths. You really turned things around. Now, for those of you who, like, this is not the good outcome, what I will say is that despite your best efforts, this is not something that you would be able to fix. So please do keep that in mind. Like, if basically I do have to include that because it's like whatever the answer is and like however that lands for you, like it is 100% true of you. Like you put your all into this, you did everything absolutely possible to affect the outcome. And so if you are somebody who like the yes is a good answer, the reason it's yes is because you did it. Like you put it all in and it paid off. If you getting this yes is actually a bad thing or not the outcome you were hoping for, what I would just say to you then is like, despite your best efforts, like it didn't work out and there's nothing that you could have done. Like you already did everything that you could have done to affect this outcome. But anyway, that is your reading. If you are looking for some more insight as to why you got the answer that you did, if I've done another reading on my channel about the topic you're asking about, definitely go check that, pick a card. I think you could potentially benefit from that. And I would love to hear from you in the comments below. If you pick this pile, give me a little butterfly emoji in your response. Again, please feel free to bookmark this and come back later with more questions. But yeah, with that, we are done. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.